Ladies, gentlemen, and young ladies, good evening again. Good evening to all of you all. You are welcome in this new dedicated geopolitical conference to international news. In the news of world news, what the Russia has started to do for real to face France as being Russia's number one enemy, the actions that Russia is taking pose at the moment I speak to you, that makes the Quaidors tremble. It makes tremble the Elysee. Yes, and you yourself, you will be really scared instead of France because Russia started to do unusual things, which means that Russia has not limited to a simple statement. Simply put France on the top list to say that it is the country that will to be attacked in first position of the side of Europe in case of Pimpin. But Russia puts the France leads the Isthmus and begins already preparing its military device to face France and Europe. I tell you that the situation is becoming more and more serious. Ladies and gentlemen, in the context of this geopolitical conference, it is from this news that we are going to talk about. But before continuing, agree to share the conference at maximum, put a lot of likes. Don't forget to leave always your different opinions in comment. And then if it's yours first time to come across my conference, my name is Robert Thea. Thank you for subscribing. There you go. That's it for you. Allows you to never miss the news again, the hottest of the moment. So let's go into the depths. So the city of Kaliningrad was chosen as the pivot of the strategy Russian to face to be able to well hit France. Can you imagine the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad, which is located between the Poland and Lithuania, and which obviously faces all this, which is Europe, has become the heart of the Russian deterrent device. I don't know if we'll continue to say heart of deterrence, but it has become the heart of future strikes that Russia will exert influence on Europe. You understand that the German secret services were certainly not wrong when they said that Russia was preparing to strike Europe. Yes, they had seen it well because there it is France that will be hit in first position. So already at Kaliningrad, Russia has deployed S-400 battery system, which are air defense systems. You know very well. As if all this did not fail, Russia deployed Iskander-M systems. So you know the famous Iskander, the famous Russian jewel that destroys everything in its path. One of the weapons more formidable than Ukraine has the most fear, Iskander. So they deployed Iskander, and there are nuclear submarines attack, which were also deployed. If it is not a strike in preparation, Russia is thinking about what to do. Deploy nuclear submarines, nuclear propulsion. Iskander is deployed. The S-400 defense systems, you know that it's to protect the territory. When they launch the missiles, that stops, that suppresses gradually. These systems have shown their skills, their capacity during attacks that were perpetrated by the Ukraine on several Russian regions very recently. So Moscow is now speaking, it's serious. Now Moscow is talking of a permanent alert zone facing NATO. We will come back to this. Permanent alert zone facing NATO. So Kaliningrad becomes the zone of permanent alert towards NATO. That is to say, the slightest error of NATO. Moscow strikes from Kaliningrad. Estonia is here. Leonie is there. France is ahead. It hits directly. So we also witness from the other side to increased mobilization at Sea Baltic and Mediterranean. An unprecedented mobilization. The German intelligence service had been very clear. They had said that Russia was ready at any moment for a long-term conflict with Europe. And Russia is on the preparations already, while Europe keep dreaming. Macron keeps on staying panic. Putin is organizing his thing. So there is increased mobilization in the Baltic Sea and in the Mediterranean. Russia has increased patrols, naval aviation, and extended its surveillance zone electronics to the Mediterranean Central. Russia is no longer sparing with resources. And so the French ships that operate from the Toulon Basin, or who are on NATO missions, are now directly on the radars of the Russian command. So they are there to observe the French ships which operate on the side of the base of Toulon, or who are on a mission of the UN, of NATO. I was going to say they are under the radar of the Russian command. That is to say, the least net error they will strike. So this is a new mapping of threat. Russia has redesigned a new threat mapping. We take Kaliningrad as a rear base from which Russia will strike on Europe and more specifically on the France. And so it's very scary. It's one of the few times Russia says, yes, here is this territory. Well, Russia has not said clearly, here is this territory, but Russia is already starting to roll out in the Kaliningrad territory all that is arsenal needed to enter conflict with Europe. So it's won first times. And so then the Russian deputy defense minister repeated again that France becomes the main potential target on the European theater. Do you understand each other? The Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced, the Kremlin via Dmitry Peskov confirmed, and then here is the Vice Minister Russian Defense that comes back again. Say the same thing. So the basics French who are stationed under NATO mandate in Romania, in Estonia, in Lithuania figure officially on the target list prioritized in the event of escalation. Russia says in case of escalation, all the French bases which are stationed on behalf of NATO in Romania, Estonia, we are talking about the mining sector, an extremely strategic sector whose good management through legislative packages through administrative control, a state control would allow each Guinean to live comfortably. I don't need to inform you or to remind you that the other states of the world, we have many states who do not have those we need have, but which today are truly developed, have a lot of road and so on. How these states do, our state exports our bauxitis to our loss, because the Russians had promised, it must be said clearly, 145 million tons. That was in 2024. But I'll give you the right away 2023 figure, and you will imagine the figure of 2025. In 2023, the Guinean state exported 127 million tons of bauxite of 127 million in 2023. In 2024, we increased to 145 million. You have seen the difference? In 2022, the Guinean state exported how many tons? The Guinean state exported 103 million tons of bauxite. All French military personnel. You see the difference? 2022, 103 million tons of bauxite. 2023, 127 million, the ton of bauxite. 2024, 145 million. 2025, we will be close to 170 million tons of bauxite. Do you see that everything is being implemented to ensure that every year that comes, our bauxite can be transported to maximum as possible, and when it comes out, it doesn't come back? What Russia is doing problem. That Russia, many don't know what the first target is. The lack of on-site processing of our bauxitis makes the Guinean state no control on the bauxitis which came out. It is the mining companies that are in collaboration with the Guinean state which have contracts and who sends numbers to the Republic of Guinea. We are forced to accept